is not a regional party. That is the first thing, and we are in all the regions. Proof to that, you understand that when the national chairman was elected during the 10th Ordinary Convention in Yaoundé in the year 2023, he embarked on a nationwide tour, meaning from the tip of the country, that is to say from Kusiri, touring the 10 regions of the country. That is a fact, and all of us know that. So it tells you that the Social Democratic Front is a national party with all the structures that are on the ground. Now, talking about the fact that people are worried, I don't think people are worried. In the northwest and southwest regions, activities are going on very well. The party is striving, is waxing, following national party from all electoral districts around the country, especially in those two regions where the party is strongly planted. You might be talking about its bastion, but I think the Social Democratic Front is a national party in all the regions of the country. Remember, during the last tour of the national chairman, he went down to the south. You understand? You saw what happened on the videos that went viral, where he was stopped at Biwagulu, which is a strong base of the party, and of course coordinated by the regional chairperson, a young and dynamic person like yourself, Felix Chidas Mbida. And if you move to the far north, you have Mahamat Bukar, who is doing a formidable job in the far north region, and with, of course, young people like Socialist National Youth Coordinator, TC Pierret, who is doing a good job. She's a very dynamic young person, supported by someone like Clay Henry, who is down here in the littoral region, precisely in Banga. And to prove to that, you will understand that, well, the SDF is planted, strongly planted. I think that question should not even come again.
Okay, the question should not even...
About SDF's presence around the national territory. Move to the east region, you will see a very strong and vibrant SDF, coordinated by Megoma Barrister, Megoma, who is doing a very good job. Move to Adamawa, move to the north, you will see the SDF everywhere.
Okay, yes, I want us to look at the national tour that was undertaken by the president, the chairman of the Social Democratic Front, Honorable Joshua O.C. Dr. Dimancho, how very important was that national tour a year before these elections?
I think, of course, true to the ideas of a political party and of a political leader, to always liaise with the people, to be with the people, to commune with the people in times of joy and in times of suffering, to know how the people live. Because if you don't know how your militants they live, I doubt what message you give to them at the end of the day. Because you need to always go around to see them, to talk with them. And I really think that this is utterly taken from what the first president or the chairman of the SDF used to do, I remember that in my own village, in my own very house, I saw a chairman, Nijom Frundi, may he rest in peace, because that was a leader for the people, especially with that ideological mantra that they use. Power to the people. They went to empower the people and to let the people know that it is democracy, and it is not about the leader who is supposed to be the sole decision maker, but that the people were part and parcel of everything that happened in the party. I think that this is very important. And for the chairman, Joshua Osei, to go around, I think that it was just very normal. It is nothing really extraordinary. What I find abnormal in Cameroon is that we have political party leaders who only remain in their bastion, who only live in their offices, make their speeches on social media, and that is what I find abnormal. But what is normal is that a real leader, it should be a committed leader, should be a leader of the people and for the people. And to be a leader of the people and for the people, you need to be able to know how the people live on day-to-day basis. You need to be able to get around to, deal with the people in times of difficulties. I also remember seeing Chairman Joshua Osei when there was a fire outbreak at the Bamenda market in Bamenda. I think that these are some of the aspects of a leader that is for the people, that you are not just there to go for the people when it comes to vote. Like we find a lot of people agitating now, and this is the time that they want to catch up with time to get to the people, because for the past 7 years they have not been able to meet the people. But I think that this is around the time that the chairman Joshua is supposed to be whining and dining with his people, because he knows that, I mean, with his immediate entourage, because he knows that throughout the year he has done what he was supposed to do as a servant, and that he can sit and tap his chest and say that I actually did what I was supposed to do as a true leader, and that now I can sit in my office and I send those social media messages. I can go to TV houses, and now I make the message go more further, because I know that my people will not be asking me. They will not ask me, where were you during the last 7 years? And you know, this is always the thing that we have decried, that we see leaders only during elections. And we are saying, you will not only be there for the people to see you during elections. After the elections, what do you do? For the past 7 years, what do you do? Do you come again and the people who start asking, maybe my mother in my video ask, who is that leader? Because, you know, there are some of these people who actually you need to familiarize yourself with them, so that when they see you, they know you. They don't see you and they begin to ask, who is that leader? Because you don't often come to them. You are so rare to the electorate, and that you only need them when it's time for vote. And that is the very moment when the electorate, they abandon you. So I think that it was a laudable initiative for the chairman, Nijon Fundi, to make this national tour, even though he had the difficulties that he had. Joshua Osei, sorry.
Let me just, Leonard, let me just pick the bones from where Doctor dropped. I like that reading. You see, when Honorable Osei was elected during the 10th Ordinary Convention, you know, Cameroonians are too impatient, because everything is planned. When he was elected, people started asking, when is the national chairman going for a tour? When is the national chairman going for a tour? You see, when you are elected, we plan a tour, and the tour is planned based on certain calendar. When you consider the calendar of the nation, when you consider his own personal calendar, when you consider the calendar of the regions, you know, the regional chairpersons and the regions, how they are operating, you need to give time for people to prepare. I like that, Dr. Dibanchu. So that is when we prepared, and he flagged off his nationwide tour. Why was it important? For two reasons. The first reason is not to make himself known. He is already known as the national chairman of the Social Democratic Front. The most important reason was for him to go down to the field and feel the pinch of the people. Because, like I said in one of the programs somewhere, if you don't meet the people, like Ndibanchu is saying, you will not know the problems of the people. It is when you know their problems that you can design a political program or a socio-political program that will suit the needs of those people which we are going to address. And that is what he did. He listened to them. He went to schools. He sat on the floor. He discussed with everybody in the different socio-political strata and grappled every details of their problems. That is why the party had to draft its political program based on all those things that he has gathered on the field. And like you said, some people will sit in their comfort zones, in their offices, I don't know where, in Yaoundé or Douala or where, and they draft political programs without knowing the problems of the people. It's just like you go to the hospital, or maybe you are sick and you call a medical doctor, the doctor now prescribes a drug without you being diagnosed. First of all, you are consulted. Secondly, you are sent to the laboratory. And when you are sent to the laboratory, they will know, they will diagnose. And then you go back to the medical doctor for the prescription. Yeah, but you see, that is what he did. And I think it was a laudable initiative.
Good evening to you, Sami blogger. You're watching us from Marumba. Marumba should be in.
Marumba is in Meme.
In Kumba.
Kumba, yes.
Berinu Eve is watching us from Yaoundé, Emana. But now, this is going to be the first elections you guys are facing without Frundi. We lost him. We lost Nijon Frundi, the later chairman, charismatic. Of course, last year, are you already pressing up to fill the gaps? Because whether we like it or not, there is something that is missing within the party. We cannot say the SDF is practically the same without Frundi.
Well, I don't know what you mean by something missing. However, you see, in the life of each organization, there are ups and downs. In the life of each individual, when we look back at the past, we take stock of the present, we might be able to chart a way forward for the future. So the present context might not be the context of yesterday. And the SDF was created in 1990. So 1990 to 2025 is certainly not the same. At the time of the creation of the Social Democratic Front, a lot of things have evolved. We were at the time, we did not have the electronic superhighways, the social media, because the electronic superhighways, after it has changed, a lot of
tremendous
evolution. Yes,
in information communication technology.
Yes,
today we are talking AI.
Today we are talking AI. So you see that things have changed. In the times of the founding chairman, we did not have all those. So certainly the dynamics are not the same. However, we have adapted to the dynamics of the contemporaries. So everything is under very serious control. We have been working with all the electoral districts. We have already gone it should be about 65 to 70% now, in trying to scout for polling agents, because we already know that we have 75,000 polling stations, and we need polling agents that will man all the polling stations. And that is why that this alone is confirming the fact that the SDF is planted in all the regions of the country seriously, and in all the villages, to be able to control those. So we are very serious at work.
Okay, you're seriously working. The Leonard Ike is watching us from Germany.
Oh, that's
Me
great.
Francis is watching us. He says, good evening. Etienne Bats has a question for you. He says, is SDF and all these opposition parties simply running for the sake of it, or they're actually running to kick Biya out of office? Derek Esembe said, greetings to you in the studio. Much kudos, Mr. Leo, thank you. And Chitu Fideli says, good evening, Mr. Leo, I'm watching from Boya. Yes, the SDF is poised to kick the CPDM out of power.
Of course, yes. The SDF kicked the CPDM and Mr. Biya out of power in 1992. That is very clear. And it was hijacked. Should I say it was stolen? And that was a blatant theft that Cameroonians will never forget. So we are still in that trend. And from every indication, if we put all the polling agents to be able to control our votes, we are certainly going to kick out the regime. That is the strategy that we already have. We are counting our errors. And I believe that, with what we are already putting in place and with the steam that SDF has gathered, the rejuvenation of the party, many things are already changing. And Cameroonians are very much aware of that change.
Okay, Cameroonians are very much aware of what the SDF is doing. Can you take us through the reorganization process that ran through the party last year to show how democratic the party is?
Yes, it was absolutely democratic. We faced, you are very correct, I like that question. We faced some challenges, at the time the founding chairman was, at the leeward side of his life cycle. Because we had a group of party members who actually wanted to hijack the party. And I would like to ask you, Kum Leonard, I would like to ask Dr. Ndibancho, ask yourself the question, where are the members who hijacked the party considered the G27? A simple question. And if you give me a credible answer, convincing answer, or our televiewers, then I will be able to bow that the G27 is working strong. What are they? They had a meeting, they split because of power and glory. They split because of power and glory. Now they thought that they could, squash the SDF, but the SDF came out very strong. You guys reported. At the end of the day, I want to ask you if you are still reporting about G27. And ask yourself the question, where are the members of the G27? Some have created their own sections because there was a meeting they had, and some people did not agree with the positions they gave them. So they decided to back out of G27, and G27 collapsed like a pack of cards. Now, the reorganization went on well, a lot of changes based on the party text. Now we reorganized. That is why you found 2,400 delegates in attendance during the last 10th ordinary convention that led to the election of the new executive of the Social Democratic Front, of course, at the head, Honorable Joshua.
the quarter was already sleeping. Then zzz, we just heard fire, fire, only to reach there and it was Bengo telling people,
I have won!
That's how everybody became hot.
It's gonna be hot! Millions! Smart TVs, tricycles, and 4-wheel drive to win by subscribing to an orange bonus bundle on hash 111 star 1 hash or make an orange money transaction on hash 150 hash or via the Max It app.
Orange.
Honorable OC. And Honorable OC lifted his hand. Another candidate, Gordon Zama, as the counting was going on. These are the things that people do not even know. As the counting was, because now we are saying we are breaking the silence. That is it. That is now the slogan. We are breaking the silence because we have been quiet based on our strategies. We said we will not attack any political party of any that is the opposition divide. We are not. They are not our enemies. We all have a common enemy, which is the CPDM. So I mean, we that is we the opposition. We have a common enemy, which is the CPDM. So we said we will not attack opposition parties. We have had 3 or 4, I might say 5 strategic communication meetings. And in those meetings, we took decisions not to attack any political party of the opposition divide. But we discovered that we are being attacked. So we said we are going to break the silence so that the truth should come out. The truth should come out now. So that the Cameroonian people will know who is who. Because it is complacence. If we keep quiet, it means we are guilty of something. Okay. Now, wait, let me come. Nzama, when the counting was going on, Nzama backed out of the hall because the results were glaring. When we left the convention ground, he came out on social media. You knew it. You even sent it to me. He said, "My time is up with the SDF." That is the catchy word or the catchy phrase. My time is up. Okay, he made rounds for 2 days, which that is to tell you that if you go for a race, your objective, of course, is to win, and if you don't win, you can try again. It means you had a different intention to come to the party and be a chairman. How many times did Jesus Christ, for those of us who are Christians and Catholics, the dogma says Jesus fell on the cross on the way to Calvary, to Golgotha 3 times. He fell the first time, he picked up his cross, fell the second time, picked up, fell the third time. And what does that teach us? It teaches us that we should be enduring in our objectives. Okay. Don't just fall and then you lie on the ground. Even a child who creeps. Okay. Otherwise, all of us will not be walking because we started by creeping. We creep and then we walk, and then we talk, and then we start going to school, etc., until we die. Okay. So it means that people were not ready, or people came with a bad intention. They backed out because they lost an election. Okay.
Good evening. Franklin Tumenta is watching us from New Delaware.
Franklin, I greet you.
In the United States. Good evening to you people in the studio. I'm Lovett Afonikom watching from Boya. To me, there should be no elections in this country because nothing will change. The malpractice of elections in Cameroon. Thank you. Special greetings to you, Mr. Kum, and more grace. Thank you very much. Dr. Dimancho, we all lived the shaky moments within the SDF. We saw the guys who moved. They called themselves the G27
plus.
And so many things happened within the party, yet they survived. They had the reorganization. We saw the chairman go around the nation, and they are now preparing for elections. How do you appreciate what is happening within the Social Democratic Front? Did you see them overcoming this very stormy period?
I think that people absconding, let me call it that way, leaving the SDF is not even a novelty recently, because when you see from where the party started, we've had a lot of people abandoning the party. I remember in 2002, there were people who left and formed another political party.
APF.
So, and that was even a moment that we thought
the SDF was finished.
was going to be buried. I remember somebody made a statement to me too and said, now we are singing the requiem of the SDF. And I said, the requiem? Do you mean that we are burying SDF once for all? And we thought that punctuation was really going to shake in the party and get it down. But then he kept striving, and he kept striving, as I said, because of its, the theology, democratic theology that he had at the time. Even though I have always often condemned the SDF for
being too democratic.
Well, not really being too democratic, but sleeping on that democratic theology.
No, but yes, too democratic.
Yeah, that is true. And that democratic theology was hinged on the fact that Paul Biya must go. And forgetting that they were supposed to develop and sustain a philosophical ideology. I have always condemned it because the issue of sleeping on the fact that a political party should have, they need to develop, I mean, it's a social democratic, it's a socialist party, and that it needed to develop an ideology that is sustainable, not just on the fact that the line of Biya must go. That mantra. I know, yes, the main goal was Biya must go because at that time that the SDF was born was out of the hunger for democracy, for change, and people felt that they have born so much for so long a time, and that they felt that it was time that things would change.
Even now,
of course.
Even now.
And you know, yes, even now, but then the approach has to change. And but then you know that at that time, yes, there was something new with the wind of change blew. You remember I wrote about my open letter to the opposition.
I read it.
And you came back to me and said the only thing I've seen about the SDF is the dwindling nature of the SDF. And I said, no, it's not just that, but we have to be able to note the fact that the SDF is going down. And it is a fact. SDF is a national party. That one is true. But it is like a tree that is withering. That tree is withering. That tree that, I mean, blossoms. It blossoms. The stem is there. The branches are there. But it is flaking and peeling. It is national. But the weight that we used to feel as a national party, it is no more there. And it is a fact. And I know that you cannot disprove me of this fact. And then the question we begin to ask is it because of these agitations that people have within the party? That is true. It could also be part of it. And the second, which I have said, is that having ruled a party for 33 years, and I kept on saying, was not very, very good, and it was not dignifying for the party, and that you cannot be a successful leader without a successor. And that many schools of thought held that the chairman was a good leader, but there was no tangible, a timely successor that can actually get things over. I'm not saying that Honorable O.C. is not a successful successor, but I think the wranglings that came on to before he took power actually could weaken the spirit that he had and the goodwill to take the party going. And you imagine that somebody coming up with that kind of vigor, that strength, with that visionary spirit, with that dream, with that mission, and then what you have to have first is solving problems, because some people are leaving your household. Because it was a family already. And I remember that the G27 we are talking, which are even led by strong people of the party like Honorable Ninche, were people who collaborated with the chairman OC, and they were people who worked together, and they both came together, synergized, concerted to make the SDF a stronger party. But whatever went wrong, but I think that there is some bad faith with people. You now see the zeal and the desire of people belonging to a political party where they feel that they must be the leader, or they must take the baton of command before they can ever. Because you really see that a lot of people were thirsty for power after the chairman, and I strongly when that happened, I condemned and said the G27, you people made a mistake. Everybody has his own place in the political party, and it is not by disintegrating yourself that you are actually going to find your place. You even ask where they are. You remember there's another coalition that they formed, which, however strong and wherever it is now, we cannot say, but I know that a coalition that you form out of a grievance. You don't form because you really want to change something, but you form because you want to come to flex Moses with the person from whom you were. I think you will never be sustainable. But these are signs of the time. These are things that we have to learn from. Because, people have to, it's an ideology. And I keep on talking about an ideology. Because when it's an ideology, each and every person believes in it and takes it forward. But if when it's something that is short-lived, that it is not sustainable, it easily dies away. And that is why many people think that many people join the SDF not because of that ideology that SDF had, but because of that mantra that they had, Bia must go, and that they wanted to have their own food as soon as possible. We are already also talking about like those freedom fighters who get up and then they form something and they think that they think is going to ripe as soon as possible before day break. But when day doesn't break, or when day breaks and the thing doesn't come, you find that the things start dwindling and start falling apart. So I think the SDF remains that strong party. It remains a national party. In my right over, I said this is the mother of all the opposition in Cameroon, and I made that strong. I underlined that point, and it was very, very important for me to underline because, whoever has come today, 360 something whatsoever, what political parties, they need to give glory to this party. And we must even say that maybe they are the grandchildren of the SDF. And therefore, you cannot today really think that the SDF who has stood the test of time, and the SDF which was believed in was like, SDF was a religion, I must say it. In villages, it was a religion.
It remains a religion.
We really have to see it proven. That it really remains a religion.
It remains a religion.
And you see, some of us who are observers, sometimes we sit and cry, we say, but we need democracy. And one of the parties that we think that could really bring that democracy and which has stood the test of time is the SDF. And then when we see people playing ping pong with that party and with the sweat of people, remember that people lost their lives. 6 people lost their life at the formation of this party. And I think that the party may not die because of that bloodshed. On the 6th of May, 26th of May, 1992. So I think that it is a people's party, but a few people are playing some kind of game and ping pong about it.
Okay. If you're watching, the communication secretary for the Social Democratic Front is in the house with us, Kejong Henry. If you have some questions for him, put them through. I'll ask him to answer, especially with respect to the planned elections, presidential elections for this year. Mabo Luyen Destin is watching us from Bermuda. Good evening to you. Dimancho Ephraim. Shufa and Dimancho Ephraim watching live from Bafusam. Best wishes to you, Mr. Leo and Dr. Dimancho. Anslem Adu Nime says that was in 1992. The SDF should understand, okay, that things are going to be difficult with the ongoing crisis in the Northwest and Southwest. Gay John says, please, Mr. Liu, ask the SDF representative, what are they doing regarding the restrictions for them to carry campaigns in some areas, okay? Good evening to you, Mr. Nge John. Gonza Whitson say, watching from Unity Palace A to D, SDF strongholds are in flames and disarray. It will be an unreal dream for the SDF to think of challenging for the throne, unlike in 1992. Keep them coming. Please, if you have questions, just send them. We're going to read them out to the SDF representative on the platform this evening. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Fidelis watching from Boya. This one says, good evening. Laura Kimbi is watching us from Boya. Good evening to you, Laura. I say you love the program. Good evening to all the panelists. You're watching from Yaoundé. Moses is watching us from Sokapam in Mbongo, not too far from here. Good evening to all of you guys watching us from Zange to Mbongo to Mwankoe and Mbambu, all those areas.
Yeah, thank you very much, Leo. I greet all those who have actually sent some worries. Thank you very much. You see, dissolution people, I always say this, dissolution people always find solace in the church. That is a fact. Doctor.
Yeah, that's clear.
Those dissolution people, those who are dissolution, they carry their problems to the church so that they could find solace. And the only church that Cameroonians can find solace in is the SDF. Because the SDF is for the people. Now, you talk about the atmosphere. Don't forget that the political storm will never be over in as much as we are in existence. Of course, you know that the theory of existentialism will always mean that until we breathe our last, then now we can turn the pages. So which means
there will always be conflict.
There will always be conflict. I have always said it. I said, whether you provide Cameroonians
Orange au top pour enflammer les fêtes. Yeah, yeah, avec Orange, ah ouais, ça donne. On ne le fait pas, qu'Orange nous met bien. Orange sous le fire, cette fin d'année. Ne fais pas de jalousie, ne fais pas sortir le lit. Peut-être ces gens que t'en pries en plus. On seulement souscrit au bonus. Dis seulement Dieu merci pour le souffle de vie.
Pay your taxes and custom fees at Express Exchange. The solution is close to you. Enter an Express Exchange agency, head to the cash register with your tax notice, and make your payment of tax and custom fees with ease. Receive a confirmation receipt. So cool, Mula. Yes, Mula. From now on, I pay my taxes and custom fees at Express Exchange. It's simple. Express Exchange, partner of the Guild and the Directorate General of Taxation. Express Exchange, #1 in quality service in Cameroon.
Give us your votes. This problem will be handled in 100 days. We're very clear about that. And it is a wish of each and every one of us. All the stakeholders, the political stakeholders, are praying that we should turn the pages like other countries have done. Now, how are campaigns? No, there are no restrictions. I don't think they have ever restricted SDF in any campaign. You know, we have always said we will be present in all the institutions. That was the resolution of the Bafsam Convention. That we will always be present in the institutions of the Republic. So we don't have any restrictions in holding our political meetings. In fact, there are some town hall meetings that we've held. The national chairman held town hall meetings across the country with young people. In Douala, I was there. There were about 800 young people looking at the head count that he talked with them. So we don't have restrictions from that part. And someone talked about the stronghold. SDF, yes, had some difficulties in the northwest and southwest region. I understand what he means. But I think the strongholds are already gathering steam. But let us not put it as a regional party. SDF is not a regional party where we could be talking about strongholds. Our stronghold is the nation. And we are even very much happy with this team that is the party is gathering. Of course, you are very convinced, Dimancho, that we have done a lot of work after everything that they did to make sure they scatter the party. But we stood our grounds and we are making sure that the party is moving. It is true. We should turn the doors are open. We said it, and it's very clear based on the text. Be that prodigal son or that prodigal child that will come back to the father. It's important for us to raise that point. The doors are open. I don't think if a child commits an error in the house, the father will banish that child. You see, that is why those who conceive the text of the Social Democratic Front, which are the fundamental laws which we consider our Bible, were erudite. They were not just erudites, but they were people of wisdom. Because you will hardly find a fault in the SDF text. Look, the SDF text is synonymous to the Bible in its drafting. It is equally synonymous to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the document. Because when you look at the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the way it was drafted, you ask yourself the question, because I have two books that I enjoy most, the Bible and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Those are books where you will hardly find an error. Even where there is a comma, it is difficult to displace that comma. Even where there is a hyphen, it is difficult to displace that hyphen. You displace the hyphen, it will not make any sense again. And that is how the fundamental laws of the SDF was crafted. So I think it was crafted in a way that it still opens the door. Even the Bible opens the door for confession, right? And for people to come back. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights opens the door for inclusiveness. So I think the SDF's laws is open, it is friendly, it is humane, so that people can always feel comfortable, because we say power is for the people.
Okay, power to the people. We want to thank all of those who are watching. So many of them are sending messages. I'm going to, if time permits, I'm going to read some of the messages. Now, there is this confusion going on as to the selection process of the flag bearer of the party. Where is this confusion coming from, and can you clarify the public on that?
Why are you running from your own question? Ask your question clearly, let me get you. Come in, shoot on. I know where you are driving to, shoot on. I'll be very happy to respond.
But since you're already on the question,
I want you to be clear. Maybe, okay, let me speak. So
there is a selection process.
Yes.
I want you to explain to Cameroonians
how it will look like.
How it obtains.
Okay.
Before coming to the 50 million stuff that you know is the crux. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. You see, the party text says this, that on the electoral year, presidential election year, the party will convene an extraordinary convention to select its candidate. Now, we met in session on the 1st of February. That was handled. Now, we said we are going to convene hold our extraordinary convention to choose the party's flag bearer. That is where it begins. Because if you look at the text of the party in 11C1, it says that the National Executive Committee, NEC, is responsible for the organization of the convention. Which means that whatever thing comes out from the National Executive Committee meeting is binding, because the resolutions come out. So everything, preparation begins from the NEC meeting, because the convention is supreme. So we prepare, that is to say the National Executive Committee prepares for the convention. That is the beginning. And so preparations are already on after we came out with those resolutions that you know. Now, when the people express their intentions, you have to understand that expression of intention is not a guarantee that you certainly become a candidate. I can express my intention. I can stand on the hall, on the floor and say, okay, I wish to be a presidential candidate, or I wish to be run for the primaries, or I wish to, anyway, primaries are held at the level of parliamentary elections and municipal elections. So when we hold primaries, we don't hold primaries during the presidential elections to look for the flag bearer. That is why I always have problems with some of you journalists, because sometimes I've always send my text, the party text to them, share them, and try to educate them so that they should know. We sleep with this text, I sleep with it, I drink it, I digest it. That is why I can always quote any part of the text without any paper in me, because that is the faith and that is political education. So the convention is prepared by the National Executive Committee. Now the National Advisory Council, which is in charge of the investiture, will now understand if at all the candidates have already filed in, and then they will look at based on the conditions that are laid down, so that they will do the selection process. And if the selection process is complete, then the National Advisory Council will now publish, will make known the candidates who are vying for the position as a flag bearer of the party. Now we'll go for, if they are there, we'll go for elections. You know, you follow what happened during the last extraordinary convention that led to, the selection process of the three candidates who went, and finally Honorable OC became the flag bearer of the party. It took place in Bamenda. We were all there.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah. So that is how it obtains. It is nothing strange and it's nothing new. And so when we get to the convention hall, after all other deliberations, now we'll move into the election, and then we'll find out the flag bearer. That is it. So like I announced at the beginning of the program, preparations are already going on. I will be in Yaoundé in the morning to hold for the preparatory meeting. If our transport system doesn't fail, as it's always the case, which we are going to rectify when the time comes when we're in power, I'll be probably leaving by 7 o'clock by Kameko without any advertisement.
Okay. They'll be leaving, but there is, what we're talking about. Why put a condition of eligibility of 50 million francs CFA.
That is just one of the conditions. We are looking at the money, and we are not looking at other conditions.
What are these other conditions?
The other conditions have been spelled out by the National Advisory Council, that is NAC, which is in charge of the selection process, because that is the wisest body of the Social Democratic Front. You see, that is the conclave of the wise men and wise women, because they will have to judge the eligibility criteria. Now, someone asked me why the eligibility criteria are not posted on public for people to know. It's a party's internal affair. Now, if you express your intention, you can go and pick the form as it was mentioned in the circular or in the communique that was signed by the Secretary General. You pick the form. If you feel that the criteria, you can meet up with the criteria, good and fine, you now then apply. So the 50 million francs is just one of the criteria, or one of the ingredients in the pot of eligibility criteria.
Okay. Many persons are asking the issue of the crisis, ongoing crisis. So many messages are talking about the fact that there's the ongoing crisis in the southwest and northwest regions, and that is going to be a little bit more difficult for the Social Democratic Front this time.
Yes, of course, knowing that even though the Social Democratic Front is a national party, there's usually what we call the bastion, the stronghold of the party, which of course is in northwest and southwest. That is indisputable, because when we look for statistics and look at the data on how they have performed throughout the years since 1992, we realize that the southwest and the northwest have always formed a stronghold of the SDF. These zones, these two regions, being in crisis, we even see that it is one of the things, the factors that have contributed to the dwindling nature of the SDF, the downfall of SDF. And that, again, I would say is indisputable, because when you look at the number of deputies, parliamentarians that usually come from that region, and people have been blaming, and they say that, okay, elections now in the northwest and southwest is now being run by the military, and the civilians have their strategy in which they do, because they are asking, people are asking, how do they get into the hinterlands that the SDF not able to get to those hinterlands, and it is creating a whole lot of issue. Knowing that I said here that, you know, in those areas, the SDF used to be like a religion, which of course it is still. The fact that there is this, psychological defeat that the people have, there is this fear, the fear of the unknown that the people are living with, and it doesn't mean that their support for the party has actually gone down, but the fact that people know there are others who don't want them to go out, to register, to vote. And this is what has been happening since 2018, that we have very, very terrible and really discouraging results coming to us from those two regions. And it is a big issue for the SDF, and they are supposed to think about the strategy. Now, but the other day I was saying that sometimes some kind of extraordinary situation necessitate extraordinary solutions. Yes, we know that we have crisis in the northwest and southwest region, but openly, and we have always had elections. Yes, officially there has always been election, because we have not had a constituency that went in 2020 without a parliamentarian. We have not had any council in northwest and southwest that went without a mayor or councillors, because there were crisis. Now, it is now what's left for the SDF to devise a means to see how they can be able to recapture these two regions that were dear to them. And that the fight of the SDF was usually, in the past, was not about the northwest and the southwest. When it came to campaigns, I think that the SDF authority turned their backs on the Northwest and Southwest because they knew that they were already for them. They didn't use a lot of energy in those two regions. Their fight and their energy was being used in other regions, maybe northern region, central, littoral, all of those, even though they also had support in part of this region. But the support was not enough comparable to what they had in Northwest and Southwest region. And now, with the crisis now, I'm tempted really to think that not enough has been done to correct the mistakes of 2018 and 2020. 2018, we had the presidential elections. And we see that the SDF, living from that second position that they have had since multipartism, since democracies in the 1990s, they have always been on the second position. And they were celebrated, and they knew that this is the number one opposition in Cameroon. Since 2018, that dynamics, it changed. And now we had a different rhetoric about it all, that the SDF had to leave from the second position to the third position. And now the MRC took the second, and the PSRN took the third. And it took that kind of a fall. I mean, that kind of a fall cannot be linked, not be linked to the Northwest and Southwest region. It is because the Northwest and Southwest region, they didn't come out to vote as they usually do. And I think that if nothing has been done since that 2018-20 up to now, then we are still going to have the same issue that is happening. Apart from the fact that this time around, as I said, we are able to see the chairman, Honorable Joshua Osei, commune with some people that he actually went to Bamenda and commune with the people. But I also think that there is a legacy that the pioneer chairman of the SDF left, Nijom Fundi left, and there was this pact that the chairman Nijom Fundi had with the people of Northwest and Southwest region. And I think that the people would not want to let that legacy fall. And that one of the things that they should honor the chairman who has gone with is that they should keep the flag of the SDF flying, as they have usually done. Because if now they do not keep that flag, flying high, it will be as if they supported the SDF because of chairman, which would not be the right thing to do. Apart from the issue of the crisis, we know that since the chairman went down as the chairman Nijom Fundi as the chairman of the SDF, we have not had good results from the Northwest and Southwest region. Leaving the crisis apart. So we could still say that one of the things that these regions, the people of this region, if they really truly love the SDF and not only the chairman, what they could do is that they should renew that confidence that they had in the SDF in this 2025 and then 2026 coming. If not, then we will think that the SDF really truly is supposed to go down, because I do not know the new bastions, the new strongholds that the SDFs have had since they lost the Northwest and Southwest, to the CPDM, as we will say. But then, the second thing that we have to see is, I don't know whether they will be able to find out, to know the secret that the CPDM has had to be able to overthrow them in this region, because without mentioning word, the CPDM has overridden and has taken the SDF in these two regions. What magic did they use? What strategy did they use? Has the SDF, I know there has been a lot of, criticism, pointing of fingers, saying how they are using this, or the military are using. But then I think that the power, the SDF being the party of the masses, is the party of the masses, they could always use the people's power to be able to, overcome some of these difficulties that they have.
So, must talk about the need for a coalition. Kejang, have you been approached? Have you approached other parties? What is the party doing in that direction?
Well, Leonard, with your permission, let me just quickly react to what the Macho has just said. You see, the seismic repercussions that was caused by the armed conflict in Northwest and Southwest region affected the Social Democratic Front. It actually affected us negatively. We are all aware that our percentage drop is as a result of the conflict, which is not supposed to be considered as anything. Yeah, and as a result of the conflict that you and I know. And you are talking about bastion, which means nobody can beat the SDF there. That is a fact. That's a truism. The SDF, following the chairman's legacy actually made it clear. I will tell you what, when Cameroon won the 2017 African Cup of Nations, the founding chairman, Nijon Fundi, was invited to the presidency to come and communion with the Lions. And hear him. I might not quote him verbatim, but I know what he said. I came not to celebrate the Lions. I came to tell Mr. Biya in his face. I shook his hands and I told him in his face that if we are celebrating the victory or celebrating the trophy brought by these children, what is the fate of their brothers in the northwest and southwest region who are dying? You have to do something. I will end there. That was the message he went to pass to President Biya, and he sees it, which means that he has been doing everything, the SDF has been doing everything under their leadership to make sure peace returns to the northwest and southwest regions. People were derailed not to see what the SDF did. And it is because those who were so selfish in the party poisoned the minds of Cameroonians not to see. That is why from the inception, I said we are now breaking the silence and must make people understand the evil hands behind the SDF demise. But we thank God that political steam that was sapped out from the SDF is back. The steam is back, and we all know that. The CPDM secret, so you are talking about the secret of the CPDM, what the SDF would do as a secret to bread. Let me tell you, we know what happened, and we know what happens, and we have said that it should not happen. It should not happen, because if it happens, it means the CPDM regime is not ready for peace. It should not happen again. When the elections were called, there were gunshots. Do you know who were the ones shooting the guns?
Who will do?
The enemies of the SDF. They shot the guns to frighten the electorates so that they should not come out. And then you talked about the military voting. Even before the crisis, I remember there was a year I covered an election. I cannot still remember that election. I was covering for my media house. I was assigned to Boya. Do you know the torment I went through from the hands of the military and the police? They were there. I was beaten. Let me tell you, the man who beat me, Mefiru beat me. This is a fact. He got me beaten alongside my colleague of mutation. May he so rest in peace, Penda. He died. But I'm not saying he died of the beating, sorry. He died after, because he died, he took ill from...
There are still
he died.
repercussions.
So I am saying that these things had always happened, even before the crisis, where you found police brutality. But I want to say that. Things have changed. That is to say, the police or the forces of law and order, they have changed their mentality because of the training that organizations like the United Nations, human rights organization, we have done a lot of training with them. And we're saluting ourselves, embracing, sharing a meal, during trainings that span 4 days, elections training. And they are beginning to change. If you go to polling stations, you will find the police officer is there. If there's a problem, he will come and intervene. It's not like coming to bundle someone out. No. I remember I was the head of the police station, my police station here. I was the head of that police station. And I raised a concern and raised alarm. When the police officer came and said, well, Kejan, please, please just go to election. Okay. So to tell you that things have changed. Now you asked the question on
coalition.
Have
you been approached by other political platforms, and have you also engaged others?
Yes. Let me begin with the last question. Have you engaged others? Maybe I should put it this way. What is a coalition?
Of political parties. With an objective of running on...
We are talking of a we are talking of a coalition of parties and civil society organizations.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We have had 54, we had a meeting of 54 civil society organizations and labor movements, which is called, we finally gave birth to what is known as CALAMO, Cameroon Labor, in Kribi, you know, Cameroon Labor Movement. That was a wonderful coalition initiative sponsored by the Social Democratic Front. They went to Kribi, they worked and came out, in fact, they came out with a document. Kum, let me tell you, what is the biggest coalition you can ever create? And with which political parties or which civil society organizations? Dr. Dimancho, let me tell you this. If I create a coalition with a labor movement of teachers, if I create with SINES of higher education, I create a coalition of teachers of secondary education, basic education, if I create a coalition of those of the steel sector, the energy sector, the water sector, the confectionery sector, I create coalitions with 54 labor movements. That is a giant coalition. Because each and every one of those sectors has tentacles that are spread in all the households. That is a strong coalition. We create coalition with industrial oil. That is to bring all them in an umbrella. That led to the Cameroon Labor Movement. That is to say, if there is no household that people do not drink water, there is no household that people do not eat rice, there is no household that does not have electricity. Let me come. Let me come. Listen. Yes, there is a difference. I'm coming to what the term coalition. How can we coalesce to make sure we come up with something? I will come to that. Now, let me come to what you are saying. Dr. Dimancho wants me to meet with him so that we can discuss how we can merge our efforts to boost, to push out Mr. Biya. I come to the table. Dimancho asks me, what do you bring as your contributions to the coalition? Dimancho says, scratches the head, and you start contemplating. Because you are talking, I am talking about, oh no, sorry, I scratch my head and I contemplate because I am talking about the coalition, but I don't have any document that will define how the coalition will look like. You asked me, Kejan, how many polling agents do you think you have or can you produce in this coalition on this period of time? Based on the strength of your party, I will scratch my head. I don't give you an answer. Because we have understood that, and we said it initially at the beginning of the program, to send Mr. Biya out, despite all the odds, if you don't have those polling agents there, because if you are not there, they'll pick the thing.
But what if you have the polling, if the agents, the polling agents are there without the voters? What are you protecting? What votes are you protecting?
Good. Now you protect the vote first. The voters will come. If they know that you are there, they will come. If they know that you are there, they will come.
The population say they want a coalition. What are you telling them? You are trying to define what a coalition is.
It's not a matter of defining. You are talking about a coalition with who? With who?
Yeah, but we have political forces existing.
We do. The SDF is always open. I should not start telling you. Yes, I know.
I asked the question.
I understand.
Have you engaged any
We have engaged parties.
Yes.
The SDF has engaged parties. The national chairman has spoken. He has talked with. He has called them. They have discussed. Right? They have discussed. There are things, because whatever thing comes from the discussion, and that has not been matured, it's not supposed to be out.
Okay, so discussions are still ongoing.
Discussions are going on. And for people who do not know, if you want me, I call names, but I will not call names here. It is not my place to call names here. But I want to tell you authoritatively that discussions are going on. That is why I said from the beginning, we are breaking the silence so that people should know the truth. People just sit and say the SDF is not ready for coalition. No. We are there, we have discussed, we started engaging in issues of coalition that will bring people like Dimancho into it. You of the civil society bench. So discussions have been going on. The national chairman has met with some political leaders of substance. Of substance. Yes, you talk about 300 and how many hundred parties and so on. Yes, even those who have parties in their suitcases, without offices, without militants or members, we still bring them on board and we are discussing with them. We have discussed and we are still discussing.
Okay, let me take 3 or 4 messages before we continue.
Come on.
Good evening. I'm Desiree. Let me tell just to know that Bia can't take part and fail in an election. Those who are reading elections, I'm sure you meant rigging elections, will never fail. Mark me, come October this year, if you really want to win Paul Biya, first fight for electoral reforms or strong coalition. Good evening, Mr. Leo and crew. No matter how long it might take, the SDF remains the true party that would liberate Cameroon. We are a mature party, okay? Good evening, sir. I want the man who is talking on behalf of the SDF to know that SDF of the 90s is not the same SDF of today. Why go for elections knowing fully well the SDF cannot win the CPDM? We, the sympathizers for opposition, want the main opposition party to come together in order that they can beat the ruling party. And if they come together, it will be easy for them to have representations in all the polling stations. Thank you. I am Tanjong, writing from Womb. Good evening to you, Tanjong. Good evening, Mr. Leo. This is Roland in Bamenda. All polling stations around Mankon and Bamenda have been taken to station. On election day, the amount of guns only the officials from Yaoundé and a few administrators did the voting. Okay? Yes. Dr. Dimacho, the focus here, it is true that he is raising a very important issue, because when we talk of coalition, we should see what you are bringing to the table, because it doesn't really make sense engaging someone who is coming with 1 or 2 votes. When people are concerned with the major political forces in Cameroon, they want to see them come together, but very difficult.
Yes, it's difficult, and it's a little bit, I'm not very comfortable with what Mr. Kijan, the response he's given about that, because we are about 6 months to presidential elections, and we think that a coalition, it is now that a coalition is being discussed, and even now they are not yet settled on whether it can hold or not. It comes back to what held in 2018, where there was a coalition at the eve of the elections, and before you knew it, in the morning was scattered. A coalition is planned for. It is not something that happens at the click of the mouse. A coalition is something that is premeditated. A coalition is something that, you know, there's a lot of strategy into it, procedure into it, memorandum of understanding, and all of that. You talked about coalition with civil society. Now, of course, I'm already a strong partner of political parties. Yes, in that light, because we assisted in galvanizing people to register on the electoral list. That is partnership, and which is yielding fruit. And you yourself know that this year we have over 8 million registered voters. We have never had that in history. So it means that at least that partnership with the civil society, which I am running, is yielding fruit. But then when you talk about a partnership with a political organization like teachers, trade union, whatsoever, sometimes it may not really be what we are really looking at, because a coalition at this point in time, we are looking at people who have same objectives, where when you say that you give an order and say, let us go out and actually decry this thing, or we march and we say no to electoral fraud or this, people should be able to come out with you, because they know that as a political party, you have the authorization and the right to do this. As a teachers union, you do not have any right to come and say, amen, since you are in a partnership with the SDF, to go and carry out the SDF gadgets and begin to, because you are in a partnership. So we are talking about meaningful coalition.
Excuse me. It is here in Cameroon that you think that because I work for a media organ, I should not be a leader, I should not I should not manifest my political intention.
No.
But listen,
as an individual,
listen, that is why even when we invite some teachers, I mean, you are liberal.
Yes.
We invite some teachers to come and speak on panel. they refuse because they are afraid that they will not gain promotion. I think we should wipe out that from our mind. No,
I'm not talking about individuals. Me, I talk liberally. I talk freely. Yes. But I cannot take my association, which is a teacher association, for example, to come and leverage it for whatsoever in a political party.
That was an example that I gave to tell you that we don't need you to come with your teachers organization.
That is right.
That's what I'm saying. Follow our political agenda, because you will be able to tell that these guys have a better political program for us.
Of course.
But then, Dimancho, don't forget, because you're already telling Cameroonians something different.
No,
I said we have been speaking, because you talk about something that alliances. You have a lot of discussions that will mature to that. We have had discussions. I remind you that we have had discussions with major political actors of this country, and even some who are not even major political actors. They were brandished petit parti politique. We have had discussions with them, and discussions are still going on. Not until the discussions will mature.
That is right. But we are playing on time, Mr. Kajere.
We are not playing on time. Please,
you have a lot of time to expatiate on this.
Come on.
It is your program. It's the SDF's program.
No, it's not an SDF's program.
Yeah, it is. So what I'm saying is that you have explained something which is very important, that when you talk about a coalition, we need to know what somebody is bringing on the table.
That's good.
You don't bring liabilities in the coalition. Yeah,
I like that.
That's true.
I like that.
You must bring somebody who will be able to contribute something to that coalition.
I like that.
And that people branches, we talk about 300 and something political parties, but of course, they are not political parties. In effect, some people even call them Jangi houses.
No, some of them are satellite organizations that were created by the CPDM.
So when we are talking about
fragilize the opposition,
when we are talking about a coalition, every Cameroonian, at least Cameroonians, know exactly which parties we are talking about.
Okay.
If you want me to, cite some example, I know the SDF is a party that has stood the test of time. We know the CRM that is coming up. Since 2018, we saw their worth. We know PSRN at least show their worth. At least the three big parties that we have in Cameroon. That after the CPDM, we have these three parties that we are talking about. And this is what people are looking at. We are also having some young parties and people are coming in. Let me remember that somebody may not be able to give you the election observers, but somebody will give you some ideas. You have somebody who has the charisma to be able to pull crowds. So we should look at all of these possibilities. You know that in an association, what matters is not just money.
Yeah.
There's also the intellectual know-how that matters, because people give
that everybody has a role to play.
It has a role to play.
That's
and
right.
We should look at that, because sometimes if you only look at how many militants this person has, or how many people you can bring to the for election observing, it may not work. And that's why I say that this is supposed to be a broad-based kind of a thing, and it's supposed to be planned. It is something that needs a lot of strategy and strategization, that you have to sit down and come out with it's supposed to be a rule governed kind of a thing. Because remember that sometimes the bigger trouble even comes when you win the election, and when you don't frame it well. The bigger trouble comes when you win the election. And if you are not capable, you sink the country into the mire more than your predecessor. And that is what we are asking for this coalition. And when you tell me that we have 6 months to go with the elections, and up to now, there are still negotiations, which of course, you are not even giving us how soon, telling us how soon this may be, because they are still far negotiations. Because they were closer negotiations, you'll have told me you are nearer to it. It is another way of waving to say that, like somebody said the other day, we will win the elections alone. And Cameroonians, of the civil society, I'm very active in that. One of the reasons why Cameroonians registered this period to vote is because we lure them with the fact that, with the idea that there will be a coalition. The opposition parties are going to come together. This is what Cameroonians want to listen to. It is just like the mantra, the political that you people used in the 1990s. Suffer, don't finish. You must tell the people what they want to hear. And if the people want to hear now is a coalition, and it doesn't come, it will mean that us, the civil society, we have lied to them. And you know the consequences that are going to come, the ramification of all of this that is going to come at the end of it all. And therefore, the coalition we have been working. Personally, I have taken up the initiative. I have met with some people. I made your chairman too, and we discussed. I made Honorable Joshua was here and we discussed. So some of these things we need to talk in a broad way, but I've gotten his own point of view. And I know people have their divergence, they have their divergent views, but then we need to put all of these things in a basket and now in sifter, put it on the balance and strike, and then we'll be able. What wins is the Cameroonian people.
The SDF wants to take power. What is the key issue that the SDF seek to fix in this nation today? Mr. Kejan.
Come on. That, I like that question. Thank you very much, Kum. Is it coming from you or from me? From me. From you. Thank you. Okay. Do you know that one of the reasons we started late, apart from the fact that machines are made by man and then they disappoint man? Can you imagine that I left my office at 5 o'clock? My office is around the airport. To get to your office here, to the studio here, which is at Koto Mbange, I had to spend 2 hours on the road. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. One, because the roads are bad, they are broken. I mean, internal roads in a town, in a city like Douala. And it is no secret that we are suffering. And as we speak, I don't know how many people are watching us, except the privileged who have generators in their homes. The whole of Douala 5 is in blackout. Yes, you have a generator because you are a media house and it must run 24/24. And those who are watching us are making them to understand that Douala 5 is totally in blackout. Just a few patches of areas and a few well-to-do who have electricity, generators. So everything is bad with the system. Everything is bad. How many of you out there watching have lost lands that you bought, and that land, it is said it was sold to you and some other person with a document, a land certificate titled, and another person comes up and picks the land and says you, and it is, you move to the courts and there's a lot of fraud and the land is seized from you out of your hard-earned money. You sweated to even raise money to build, to look for a piece of land. Go to the courts and discover that there are more than 75% of the cases in our courts are land cases. That alone should ring a bell in your ears. As we speak, villages go for 3 months without electricity. Look at a big town like Kumbawa, a big division like Mebe division, which we are we pride ourselves of calling it the economic capital of the Southwest region, in blackout. Look at Douala itself, the economic capital, in blackout. When you leave the airport, you are driving out of the airport. Apart from the airport lights and projectors, immediately you move out of the airport vicinity, it is blackout. That is what it welcomes strangers who come to our country. What about the health system? What about the health system? If you don't have money, you go to it, you will die. That is why many people move for generics, or what we call make me aware in our neighborhoods. You move to these health posts. You cannot be diagnosed very well for your diseases. What about education? So anyway, I am saying this because when we move to the elective convention, that is the extraordinary convention, to look for the flag bearer, that is where the SDF political program will be rolled out. Somebody said on social media that somebody was quoting a political program. I told that person, I said, look, you should try to be politically cultured. The political program that was rolled out in 2018, and Cameroonians should be able to read, the political program that was rolled out in 2018 is not going to be the same political program that will be rolled out in 2025, because things have changed. What we had in 2018 is not the same thing. The evolution, 7 years is a lot for things to change. So your political program will be adapted to the contemporary situations of the country. So in the health sector, in agriculture, in trade, in education, in our defense policy, in our recruitment policy or a job creation, youth empowerment, etc. All those things will be outlined in our political program on that day. In fact, you are even invited to come, and we will send copies of our political program. Now, Dr. Dimancho, let me tell you something. One day I picked up the political program of one political party. You know, people are just sitting there waiting for, in fact, I've announced a date. I've already announced a date. So our political program will be out. It has been printed. It is there. So we will roll it out on the 1st of March.
You think some people
will go there and plagiarism? Good. I picked the political program of a certain political party. I don't want to call the name here. The political program came after. I look at it and say, well, these people are not serious. People those people sit in their offices, in their homes, and then they build a political program for a people they have not even visited, they don't even know their problems, etc. I say, how can you go? You start prescribing medication for someone you have not diagnosed. When you are sick, you go to the hospital, the doctor will consult you, explain your problem to the doctor. The doctor listens and then writes and sends you to the laboratory because he suspects this. And the laboratory technician will go even further to see that, okay, what the doctor even wrote, he discovered some other ailments and then send the results to the doctor. The doctor prescribes the drugs. You go to the pharmacy. A good pharmacist will counsel some of the drugs the doctor prescribes to you. Okay. That is what the SDF does. So I have already announced our political program will be rolled out on the 1st of March, and from there you pick it up. You have a copy in the mantle. Kum, you have a copy, and the copies will be circulated so that each and every Cameroonian and voter who wants to know what the SDF is bringing to solve as a problem will go through. And when you pick the political program of another party, make a comparison, you'll find out there will be a lot of plagiarism. Because SDF said the part.
But I see lots of pictures circulating. What is the SDF doing on ground?
Oh, the SDF is
lots of meetings happening.
A lot of meetings. Thank you very much. How many political parties are holding meetings? The SDF holds National Executive Committee meetings 3 times, sometimes 4. If at all there's an extraordinary. The SDF, all the wards are holding their meetings. All the electoral districts are holding their meetings. I am here, I cannot rest because all the electoral districts are inviting me. I'm not the only I'm not the only communication secretary. They're inviting me to be part of their meetings. And I am following the events that they are holding. Every day, the SDF is on the ground, they are working. You saw what happened. Even on Youth Day celebration, there was a meeting. They helped some electoral districts had meetings on Youth Day. The Youth Day was yesterday. They had meetings. They had meetings at the eve. They had meetings on Youth Day, and before even going for the March Past celebration, a lot of pictures on the ground. Go to the Adamawa. A lot of meetings. Go to the south. They are holding meetings. They have announced a lot of meetings, series of meetings. I cannot rest. I've almost been, in fact, I might go mad because of the pressure, because of the stress. So we are doing a lot of work on the ground. That is the only party that is working. Ask yourself the question, those who are watching us, if they have their consciences, they should reflect a bit. Truly, if this is what is happening, where are the other political parties on the ground working? Where are they? It is only the SDF.
Okay, yeah, but this is also an issue, Dr. Dimancho. Almost everybody wants to be president, but we don't see what they are doing on ground. How do you just want to tiptoe into a 2G without necessarily sojourning with the people?
It is a culture in Africa in general where people
want to go to heaven, but they don't want to die.
There is this culture, and I would just say that we inherited it from the French, where people want to be called excellence or want to be called president. And that's the culture that we have inherited, you know. People just want to be called president. They just want to go to places, and they are honored with that title of president. This is what is happening. And that is why we are not just political parties, even NGOs. You have people who are just in their
associations.
They're just in their offices. They build big offices, and then they communicate. They get phones and swindle. Thank God now the US aid now is being curtailed, and a lot of people are crying because they didn't go to the field. People are sent aid and they sit in their office because people just want to be honored. Because we do not have the policy of service. We are taking from the French fonctionnaire and not the English appellation of civil servant.
You're like a catechist.
That is the thing.
You serve the people.
You know, let me tell you, there was one time in the 14th century in England where there were a lot of rats around the place. They had to take people to kill the rat. So the first thing they asked was they recruited people, and they called them rat killers. People didn't apply. Immediately they changed the appellation and said rat officers.
Rat officers.
A lot of people and overflowing number of applications came.
There's no say rat officers. They say rodent something.
I just want to put it in a way that
technician.
So I just want to put it.
Yeah, rodent. But they
changed the name. So
to
just to let you know that it is of human beings. Humanly, people want to be honored in the way that they don't even think about the service. And you know, they go out of the calling of Martin Luther King, who says that we should just be servant. If you are a street sweeper, assume the responsibility and sweep in such a way that nobody finds any fault with it. So the issue of people just forming political parties to be called president. You've heard a lot of this. Sometimes you sit, we go to places around. Sometimes you go and sit and then they just hear someone will say, oh, president. And then you want to turn and ask, which president they talk about? And they say, it's the president of a political party. They call the name that you cannot even remember, even if you memorize it. So it is a problem because all of these political parties are formed because of the belly stomach. Because somebody, I mean, you are the one usually whom we have PhD holders who are marching now and on strike because they are asking for jobs from the government. I remember one moment you make a mockery and said PhDs of Gizzard or what else, there was something. Because people just want to be honored. For whatever reason, nobody knows. Because we do not want to work. And that is why political parties have all of their things, their suitcases. When you invite a party, is a leader who comes. They say I saw a representation, it is still the leader who comes. If there is it is still the leader. So the first, second, and third is the leader. Because they don't have militants. That is the thing. And when you ask all of that, and they very mockingly, those kind of leaders are those one who even champion the fact that they will win elections alone and they don't need a coalition. It's a mockery. And you see that we take this and just play about it. We just play about all of these things. And we play with the lives of Cameroonians. So the issue of actually leaders coming up when we do not even know where they are is a very, very serious issue that has to be combated in Cameroon. But then we also have to take the Ministry of Territorial to task. Because it's the ministry that gives all this authorization around. And while they are doing for a purpose, there's the issue of divide and rule, whereby they think that they should form as many political parties as possible in order to fragilize the opposition. And the issue, I even think about people who even have memories for those who come and say, after the election, they come and form a coalition and they say, we are the Jivan and this thing, who don't even have, militants who don't even have people. I think they even make a mockery of the government itself. Because you find people who organize party whatsoever and don't find, even their families do not attend. But then at the end of we are having election in October. You find already coming. There are a lot of many who are already declaring Yaoundé how they are supporting the ruling government. But how many militants do they have? Or do they just want to destabilize the opposition? Psychologically.
Okay. Hi, Mr. Leo. You are doing a great job. This is the first time I'm commenting on your program. Please kindly tell the SDF representative to convince us how serious they are this year. So many of us have registered with the hope of a possible coalition. We need to tell them the truth that the SDF cannot win elections currently without a coalition with all key opposition parties. Okay? This other one says, please, the opposition in Cameroon is not serious. Why focus only on the presidency? Why not focus on changing the laws so that our Cameroonians can have good laws and have real democracy? But how do you change the laws when you don't have power? Yeah, almost the cry, number one cry is coalition. Kejan.
Thank you very much. Who is that writer?
I don't know, it's not given.
Okay, I would like to be addressed as Kejan. For those who are watching us, they could call me Kejan or Kejan Henry if they like. Maybe they are not seeing my name on the screen. I don't know. I like that question. And I like the second part of that same question about why focus only about on the presidency. I'll start with that.
The second question is from someone.
From some other person. Yeah. Okay, good. I will start with that second person. In one of our workshops, because the SDF has been holding a lot of workshops. We've had more than 6, 7, 8 workshops after the new chairman or the chairman took over. We've had the socialist youth workshops. We've had with the socialist women. We've had with the communication secretaries. We've had with too many members of the party in different sectors. And in fact, during those workshops, one of the resource persons who happened to be the second national vice chair, Professor Cagde Louis-Marie, said, we are in a country where if the councils are well empowered, if the municipalities are well empowered, nobody will care about the presidency.
I think I discussed that with your chairman too.
Oh, correct.
I did.
If we are empowered, nobody will care about the presidency. Who cares about the Prime Minister of UK? Who cares about the President of the United States after the elections? Who cares about the President of, I don't know, even in South Africa, who cares about President Ramaphosa? We are talking about local government empowerment. If you have, for example, a municipality like Bamenda 1 or Bamenda 2 or 3 that is strongly empowered, financially empowered, they will not bother about the presidency. If you have a municipality like Kumba 3 having a budget of 25 billion, nobody will care about being vying for the presidency. That is what we are talking about, empowering our local governments, that is the municipalities. Now, on that aspect, I'll move to the question that someone talked about, strong coalition. Well, maybe since we started the program, he had not been following. We have already belabored that, but I'll still probably take the pains to say something. We should learn to be assertive in all our endeavors. We should learn to be assertive. He says I should convince him, and I am convincing him that we should learn to be assertive in our endeavors. I used a figure. I said, those of us Catholics, in our dogma, we talk about Jesus Christ on the road to Calvary, who fell 3 times on the cross. It is because Jesus Christ was assertive that he will conquer it. He went, he fell 3 times, he picked up his cross and got to Golgotha, where he was killed. But he had achieved his objective. Why don't we think that we will achieve the objective? We should be assertive. And the message we are passing is, wait for our political program, and then you will see what we are bringing to the people, how we are going to handle their problems.
Yes, but you also hinted on the fact that you guys are
discussing
with
yes, the coalition we started. We are the ones who initiated this business. People don't know, and I want to remind the writer to that question that we initiated the business of coalition even before people could talk about it. I want to remind him that detractors are everywhere and they will lure you. That is why I decided to come to this program. I would not have come. But since we have opted to break the silence, and so that we could stop all this aspect of pointing fingers on the SDF, because we keep quiet and we become complacent to maybe to a crime that is not committed by the SDF. It means that we are part and parcel, we are accomplice. So we are saying that we initiated this, and the national chairman has met some of these leaders. They have discussed, and discussions are still going on. And I can tell you personally, and I'm talking to the writer, that I was in a meeting where the national chairman says he's ready. Whoever wants to come, let the person come and brings everything. We will discuss. If you want to be the presidential candidate, come and be it. He has said it. He said it too many times. So the problem is, people should know that we are not close. We have opened the doors and we have discussed, and we are still discussing. What happened at the last hour? At the 11th hour, it happened in Senegal. At the 11th hour, it happened to other countries. At the 11th hour, it happened in Botswana, where a particular political party ruled for 54 years. But it was a very big shock to that political party that thought it can rule for 150 years without any break. But it was broken. Not by even a coalition, But we are saying, yes, coalition is good. It is because of the conviction of the people. When you already have a defeatist spirit that we cannot win without a coalition, we are already defeated. It means that in the house, you can tell your child that you can never pass that examination if you don't have this. No, we should be assertive. Political parties have faced ups and downs. This Democratic Party has faced a lot of torments in the United States. At one time, it went for about 30 years. 30 years in limbo. Just like the Labour Party in UK. It went for more than 15, 20 years. And it was like that in the limbo. So when the people become assertive enough, they will change it.
Everybody in the quarter was already sleeping. Then we just heard fire, fire, only to reach there and it was Bengo telling people,
I have won!
That's how everybody became hot.
It's gonna be hot! Millions! Smart TVs, tricycles, and 4-wheel drive to win by subscribing to an orange bonus bundle on #111*1# or make an orange money transaction on #150# or via the Max It app.
Orange.
Dimacho, thank you for accepting our invitation to be part of tonight's edition of the program.
Thank you so much, Mr. Leo, and through my own appeal to Mr. Kejang, who is the SG of the SDF, and say I'm doing a round. So, I mean, maybe the deal may be brokered by my civil society organization, because I'm in discussion with the main opposition parties. At least I've been able to talk with a few, and I know I talked to the chairman already. I will still come back. And I think that since you are still hopeful that a deal can be brokered, I think I may be actually at that end where that deal will be brokered, either as a witness or as a frontline actor of it. So it was nice sharing a platform with the SDF, and I'm sure, of course, as you say, even in Congo Kinshasa, Chesekedi, the father, fought and went. The son came and took over after. So in the Bible, they say some sow and others reap. There is no, we know. But you know, people study from signs of the time and the situations of the time. And when the people tell you that this is after the one we want, because you are there because of the electorate. If the electorate, they tell you that it is a coalition we want now, please listen to them. We are not saying that a single candidate cannot win, but we are saying that at this present dispensation in Cameroon, we need a coalition. That's what will give much more hope, given the regional kind of basis that political parties have in Cameroon. You know, you are on base in Northwest and Southwest. We have the UDC in the noon. We have the PSRN in the littoral or in the Senegal. So we have this regional kind of that. Your strong force may come if you actually come together in a synergy, and that they will show the electorate that you are serious about what you are doing. And it's not just about somebody coming to you. You may also be humble enough, the SDF, to go to other people. I know you are also sitting on a Trojan horse to say that you are the first, you are the mother opposition, and that the children have to come to you. No, sometimes the stronger force is that which leaves from the high seats and goes down to the solidarity. You are of the authority, as we say now, of the opposition. Go down to and propose to them that this is what you want. Don't come from all that you said. You are only waiting for them to come to you. Also go to them. I think that Cameroonians are hungry, and they are hungry for a change. And that change, if it doesn't come in 2025, at least, even you are losing, lose honorably. Mr. Kijang, listen to me. This is very important. If you are losing, lose honorably. And if the SDF is not able to gain back its strength of the second, why not the first this time? That it should be at least some honor that you give to Cameroon, that you are still that strong SDF of power to the people and equal opportunities. Greetings to all the people of Kononi who are watching us on this program tonight.
Okay. Please, the opposition in Cameroon is not serious. Why focus? Okay. Mr. Liu, we registered for elections since June 2024. Our cards are not yet there. Peter is writing from Bonjo, Souza. This one says coalition is the only hope for opposition. Mr. Tegan is writing from Bengui. Hello, Mr. Liu. Just seeing Mr. Kejang and Dimacho in your program. I'm glad these are guys that know exactly what they are doing. I'm Bankeng, writing from Bangolan. This one says the SDF should concentrate now to encourage people to register, not to be throwing blames, okay? Greetings, Mr. Liu. This is Stanley from Limbe. Tell Mr. Henry that SDF should give us a young and energetic candidate with ambitions for Cameroon, and us, the youths that have registered, will support them. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I love your program. I'm watching from Kumbai, which Cameroonians all over should be able to reach out to this year interesting program. Thank you for coming, Kejan.
Well, thank you very much, Leo. Thank you, Dr. Nimancho, for accompanying us on this program and for the encomiums that you have poured on the party. We know the SDF is your party. The SDF is the party of the Cameroonians. We have all taken into account the suggestions that have been made by all and sundry, and we are working on that. You know, it is their party. And I used to say it is not because your father or your mother had an accident and was disfigured that you need to shy away from them, that no, these are not my parents. If the SDF, which is your father or their mother, has had some turbulent moments, you should be able to support your parents to move through that storm so that tomorrow they can see a brighter future. Thank you very much, Leo, for the opportunity so that we could talk. But then don't forget that we are always available anytime. We've not been able to come because a lot of people have been saying things that they did not know, they did not understand, but we have broken the silence. Now we are
start talking.
So
okay,
we'll make them now understand, because we wanted to put a few things. And I remember I told you that our communication strategy is a buffalo communication strategy that we have put in place. And it is holistic in all its facets. Now you see you are getting us everywhere. So we pray, we thank God the SDF is back and very strong enough. And thank you again for inviting us and to your management.
We want to thank you all for watching. Eli and Desmond for production, Tabi, Tambe Brian for supervision. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.